Welcome back to Between Bells. Nabbing a coveted multi-year exclusive deal with Spotify's sex-positive podcast, Call Her Daddy, ushers in waves of listeners with risque chats and female empowerment. And the podcast host, Alex Cooper, a.k.a. Father Cooper, joining us now. Alex, welcome to the show. We are so excited to have you. You have so many fans here on Cheddar. Your podcast has really hit a stride, especially with this new exclusive deal with Spotify. Was that a pinch me moment knowing or realizing just how far you've come with your podcast?
Thank you for having me. It was definitely a surreal moment, but I'm just so honored and proud, especially being a woman in the space, to have landed this deal. And I think it just proves how big the brand has gotten and the listenership is. So yes, it's very surreal.
Fans of the podcast call themselves the Daddy Gang. Now when they're going to go to Spotify to listen to your podcast, are you going to change the way you approach the podcast now that it's on a different streamer?
No, I think when something's not broke, don't break it. I definitely feel like the show will continue to evolve just as my life evolves. But in terms of the actual podcast, there's nothing that's going to be directly affected just because I'm now on Spotify. If anything, Spotify has even been encouraging of keep doing what you're doing. We're here to just support you, which is great.
That is really amazing. Before Call Her Daddy landed on Spotify, your contract ended with Barstool Sports. The deal does not involve Barstool, so I have to ask, why did you choose to leave Barstool?
I think obviously I had such an amazing run with Barstool and I respect everything that they provided me and the support they provided me, but it came down to just Spotify provided me with an offer that I couldn't turn down. And also, aside from just finances, it was Spotify is the biggest in the industry right now with regard to audio, and that space for me is the bread and butter of Call Her Daddy. And so I knew, as much as I loved Barstool, Spotify was going to be an elevated opportunity that I couldn't pass up.
Spotify will be co-producing your show. How will they help you further the success of the podcast in any way that Barstool couldn't have?
I mean, I think obviously Spotify and Barstool are just such different platforms, and I think Spotify already, the marketing I've seen behind in terms of elevating the user experience has been insane. I now, when you sign on to Call Her Daddy on Spotify, you see a little handwritten note from me, and you see a video of me introducing you to the Daddy Gang, and there's a lot of different marketing pushes, as well as just, I think creatively they have such an amazing staff that's ready at hand to help me. So it's exciting. I feel like it's just a new chapter, and it's going to be a refreshing time to press restart. And if there's anything that I want to elevate or go in a different direction, when that happens, I know Spotify will be we're right behind you. So it's great.
Let's talk about the content for Call Her Daddy with this deal. 48 main episodes a year plus 26 bi-monthly mini episodes. One thing you discuss on your podcast often, Alex, is mental health. Why is that so important to you?
I think because in the beginning of Call Her Daddy, it wasn't. And as my life has transformed, I have started to realize it's all fun and games until you're by yourself in your room and you're wait, why am I sad? Why am I depressed? And so I think when I got into therapy, that journey was so eye-opening for me. And I'm fortunate to come from a family that was so supportive of mental health. And I know some people don't have the same experience. So I felt okay, I've been so vulnerable and open about my sex life, and people love that and engage with that and trust me with that. So mental health is another taboo almost topic still to this day. So I felt broaching that topic with my listeners was an opportunity I had because of how close I was with them. And it's just important to me. And I know every millennial and Gen Z, specifically with social media and et cetera, it's such a topic that needs to be discussed and normalized rather than shied away from.
I have to ask you, you are a successful, mega successful podcast host. How have you seen the landscape maybe change over the past year or so?
I mean, it's crazy. I'm so fortunate that I got into the podcast space when I did, I'll be honest. I feel like everyone has a podcast now, and that's so exciting because I love some competition. But I do think that a reason I did choose Spotify was I clearly saw, I think in the next few years, everyone is going to be going exclusive. That's my prediction. So I think that, Joe Rogan and Dak Shepard and I making these jumps, I think is huge, but it's also just the beginning because I think everyone else is going to be doing it soon.
You're certainly the trendsetter. So once this pandemic settles down a bit, do you have plans to go on the road for live shows? And I have to ask you, what do you attribute your success to, Alex?
Definitely want to go on the road. It's crazy because I feel like inevitably with like there was drama and the show got 10 times bigger over the pandemic, and then I became like a single host, and then I wasn't being able to go outside and like see my listeners. So I definitely want to incorporate some type of live element. I'm definitely in the works of putting something together that I think would do the show and my listeners justice, and it would be a great experience. I think I just attribute the success to going forward in an industry that maybe had such specific standards with regard to topics that men can talk about, but women, oh my God, you're labeled XYZ if you discuss your sex life or your romantic life. So I think for me, it was an opportunity that I saw as just like, I'm just gonna be myself, and hopefully a lot of women will rally behind me and not only accept it, but also be inspired by it and also implement it into their lives. And I love my listeners because they've done that, and it's been such an amazing ride that I feel so connected with them.
Alex, I have 15 seconds, so very quickly, for those who may not have discovered your podcast yet, why should they give it a shot?
Because it is very entertaining. You never know what you're gonna get. You could get sex talk, and then you could get mental health, or you can see an amazing, huge, big guest on my show. You never know. Every week is a ride.
Well, I concur because I was listening to it this morning. It's pretty incredible. Thanks to podcast host Alex Cooper. You can listen to Call Her Daddy now on Spotify.